Welcome to my views and news. Four news stories for you. First one is about a Tigray general who was pronounced dead more than twice within the last 2 years. We have now seen his pictures. We are seeing his new pictures. He's alive. Secondly, we have two news stories about Oromo Liberation Army. OLA fighters are showing some government soldiers who were allegedly committing atrocities in the guise of OLA fighters, dressed up as OLA fighters. Secondly, OLA has freed some prisoners in East Valega. We have received some updates about ongoing fighting between OLA and government forces. In the next video, we'll try to update you about the on the ground situation. Thirdly, Afar region of Ethiopia, northern Afar, which was dependent on Tigray for electricity, for banking, for commercial activities. It suffered. Northern Afar suffered like Tigray suffered, but less reported. Electricity is being resumed now in Tigray, also in northern Afar. Details for you. And lastly, viewers, Eritrean opposition groups are mostly seen abroad in US or Europe. They organize rallies, protests there. Their presence is less visible in Eritrean neighborhood. But a newly formed Eritrean opposition group held a program in Eritrean neighborhood. Details for you. Firstly, viewers, several Tigray generals, TPLF leaders were pronounced dead on different occasions within the last 2 years. But no top level death could be confirmed, combat death could be confirmed on Tigray side. We know that Getachew was pronounced dead several times, though he survived a very close drone strike, twin drone strike on his house a few weeks ago, now a few months ago rather, in this third round of war. Debretsion survived, his office was hit in this third round of fighting, survived. Berahle pronounced dead, Debretsion pronounced dead, Migbe pronounced dead, and several others. But somehow they kept on appearing because they were not dead. Rumors were being shared. Same rumors were shared about other side as well. Some army officers on ENDF side was pronounced dead by Tigray activists. Like Jula, it was said a few days ago that Jula had resigned, but we saw him in Turkey then after that. General Migbe is one of top TDF generals. There is no TDF now because Tigray forces are being disarmed. He was pronounced dead several times in the last 2 years. But his new pictures are emerging. He is safe and sound, healthy. You can see a picture on your screen. Colonel Migbe can be seen with General Migbe, not Colonel Migbe, with Colonel Goesh. Colonel Goesh and General Migbe can be seen. This picture shows both of them. So he is alive, all were rumors. Interestingly, top military leadership on both sides is alive. Though tens of thousands have lost their lives in this 2-year-long conflict. But no top general from Tigray, no top general from ENDF, no top general from EDF has been killed. It means lower ranks suffered. Though these military commanders were on front lines. It seems they were heavily guarded, so they managed to survive. But poor common soldiers who lost their lives, they're in large number. Secondly, viewers, Oromo Liberation Army fighters have shown some government soldiers. OLA fighters claim that government soldiers are trying to malign OLA, they are trying to discredit OLA, and government soldiers are now being sent dressed up as OLA fighters, and they are committing atrocities, they are raping women, they are looting people's properties. In Mitarobi, Vasheva, OLA has allegedly captured 2 government soldiers who were trained in Sankale. They are being shown on pro-OLA news sources. OLA has been claiming for years that it is not involved in any human rights abuses, that some militias, Gichana Sarna and others, backed by Oromo regional government, and some Oromo groups, armed groups, like one led by another commander, they are committing atrocities in the name of OLA. And OLA is not involved in any human rights abuses. This has been OLA's position for years. OLA denies involvement in any human rights violation in Oromia, but it has been happening for years. Secondly, OLA has freed some prisoners in East Valaga. Ibanto is the name of the place where some prisoners have been freed. Wherever OLA fighters enter, they free prisoners. OLA calls them political prisoners. In Ibanto, at a facility, dozens were detained for months. OLA sources say they were detained there without any charges and they have been freed. We have seen that in Gimbi in West Valaga too, that OLA fighters freed some prisoners there. Before that in Gambala too. OLA is in a strong position in West Valaga. In East Valaga, it is gradually consolidating its full control, and we saw fighting between ethnic Amharas, locals and OLA fighters, Romia forces in East Valaga, in Kiramo, in Engakutan a few days ago. So in East Valaga, OLA is facing more resistance than in West Valaga. OLA wants to completely control East Valaga, and the next target is obviously Central Oromia, West Shiva, where these government soldiers were shown a few hours ago by Oromo Liberation Army. Watch this clip from Ibanto, which is in East Valaga, where OLA fighters freed some prisoners who were allegedly political prisoners. Watch the clip.
Hidhamtoota siyaasaati. Hidhamaa siyaasaati isin. Ajaa'iba.
Thirdly, towards the northern Afar, Berahle and other areas share border with Tigray, close to Tigray, to the east of Tigray are these areas. While Tigray went through a humanitarian crisis within the last 2 years, northern Afar suffered the same as well, but as I said earlier, less reported. Afar's plight was not covered as extensively as Tigray's plight in the last 2 years. Though I've been trying to cover their humanitarian situation because northern Afar was connected with Tigray, banking, electricity, commercial activities. And when Tigray was put under siege, northern Afar came under automatic siege. Electricity was suspended, it was cut off in Tigray, it became cut off in northern Afar too. Banking as well. Commercial activities came to standstill. And now when electricity is back in Makale, in Shire, we are seeing resumption of electricity in northern Afar. To Berahle is the town of Afar where power has been restored, electricity restored after 2 years. For around 2 years, Berahle remained without electricity. But did you hear any major news source report about the situation in Berahle? I don't think so. Afars don't have very effective diaspora organizations. They are split. Some support the government, some oppose the government. Afar regional government supported Ethiopian federal government in the fight against TPLF, but its people suffered, and suffering was not highlighted by Afars abroad, inside Ethiopia as well. Lastly, viewers, Eritrean opposition groups have their presence abroad. You know that no opposition in Eritrea is allowed to exist. Only PFDJ, only Isaias Afwerki, one man show in Eritrea. In a video a few days ago, I praised independence of Eritrean foreign policy. Several viewers contacted me. They said, Sajid, you are praising a dictator. Is Eritrea independent in terms of foreign policy? Whatever Isaias says is the foreign policy. I only said that Eritrean foreign policy made by Isaias or others was less vulnerable to external pressure. That is what I said. By independence, I mean it is less vulnerable to external pressure. Ethiopian foreign policy, Sudanese foreign policy, Somalia's foreign policy are more vulnerable to external interference. Now, coming back to today's topic, Eritrean diaspora groups have their presence abroad. Opposition groups, they have their presence in the US, in Europe, entire Europe. They have their presence close to Eritrea as well, but we see much less presence in terms of their activities here. A new opposition group was formed last year, Seedling for Peace and Democracy in Eritrea. This group organized a program in Sudan in connection with New Year. Dozens participated. You can see some pictures on your screen. Pictures are from Sudan, where Seedling for Peace and Democracy in Eritrea organized a program. We know that Sudan is concerned about Eritrean interference in eastern Sudan. Eritrea has close ties with some tribal elders in eastern Sudan, and some tribes live on both sides of Eritrea-Sudan border. And for years, Eritrea has been having influence in eastern Sudan. Abdel Fattah Burhan refused Eritrean mediation to resolve political crisis in Sudan. Obviously, I mean that Burhan is not comfortable with Isaias Afwerki's presence, his influence in eastern Sudan. Seedling for Peace and Democracy in Eritrea is holding a seminar, a program in Sudan. It means that Sudanese government could be trying to back Eritrean opposition groups on its soil, like Ethiopian opposition armed factions are operating on Sudanese soil. TPLF, Tigray fighters tried to regroup, organize an attack on Volkai, Mera Sagad a few months ago. The attack did not succeed. OLA of Oromia, they have their presence in Sudan too. Kemat fighters too. Goma's fighters a few days ago signed a peace agreement with Benishal Goma's government, and they were based in Sudan. So Sudan is hosting Ethiopian opposition groups and maybe now Eritrean opposition groups as well. But can these small opposition groups of Eritrea bring about any change inside Eritrea? Thank you for watching.